Welcome to the May 5th, 2022 meeting of the Riverfront Design Committee. My name is John Postick and I'm the chair of the committee. The following guidelines are in place for meetings in the council chamber at City Hall. Only the south entrance to City Hall will be open for access to the building. For exiting the building, all accesses can be used. Air purifying machines have been installed in the chamber. Hand sanitizer machines and disposable face masks will be available. When called on, applicants and speakers will come to the front podium to speak. Only one person at a time should come to the podium. Speak into the microphone, please, and identify yourself and provide your address for the record when you begin speaking. Address your comments to the committee. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Citizens may address the committee on agenda items by responding to the chair's call for speakers during discussion on each item and signing the speaker's log on the podium. All comments must be relevant to the item. The chair or presiding officer may, in his or her discretion, prohibit a person from addressing the committee and/or remove that person from the council chambers if that person commits any disorderly or disruptive behavior. Please see the agenda for more information about these requirements. If you parked in the Sheridan Walker parking garage north of John Rex Elementary School, staff can provide a parking validation ticket to you. The agenda and documents are located at https://okc.primegov.com/public/portal. You would then select the Riverfront Design Committee meeting, then click on an agenda item, and the relevant documents will come up below the item. Desiree, will you please call the roll?
Committee Member Postick.
Present.
Committee Member Heisel. Committee Member Dean.
Present.
Committee Member Herrera. Committee Member Howard. Committee Member Larson.
Present.
Committee Member Montoya.
Present.
Committee Member Templeton.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, approval of minutes from the February 21, 2022 special meeting. Would entertain a motion.
And before we do that, we're gonna try something different today. See if you're paying. So in the past, we've asked you to verbalize your motion in second, and staff was clicking the buttons. So we want to ask if you can verbalize, you make the motion, and then you click the motion button, and then the person verbalize, you're making the second, and then you can click the second button on your screen. We started having problems with this at our downtown meeting, and I'm hoping that will solve some of the problems. So we'll try that today since we have a very light agenda and see if it works.
And I would ask the committee that you verbalize the motion and/or second prior to pushing the button.
Yes, please. Thank you for clarifying that.
And then if you are not the one who motioned or seconded, just sit back and wait a minute. Let them click those buttons. Don't jump the gun and punch the button, because then it records the wrong person as the motion. You'll get a button that pops up for you to vote after the motion and the second have been recorded.
So with all that being said, is there any discussion regarding the approval of minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, so that was Ricardo, and then Dana was the second. And then if you guys will push the respective buttons for those two people only.
It says waiting.
We will have to do a verbal vote.
Okay?
All right, we'll try again.
Good intentions.
Committee Member Postick.
Yes.
Committee Member Dean.
I abstain.
Committee Member Herrera.
Yes.
Committee Member Larson.
I abstain.
Committee Member Montoya.
Yes.
Committee Member Templeton.
Okay, so we have an issue. The minutes are not approved because we don't have a quorum. We will have them back on our next agenda. So we had two members who weren't there, who obviously decided to abstain. So we will make note that they weren't passed, and we will have it on your next agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Agenda item number 3, cases withdrawn. There are none. Item number 4, continuance requests. There are none. Item number 5, consent docket. There's none. Item number 6, cases for individual consideration. Item 6A, SRCA-22-00002 at 800 South Portland Avenue. Laura, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. Thank you. And, I can't see. There it is, right? Okay. So this is in an area we haven't really seen much in the district. It's immediately north of the auto auction, if you guys are familiar with that area, just south of 40 and just west of 44. And it's currently a church. It's been there, I can't remember I had that. It's been there for quite some time. And they're getting ready to do some additions, some renovations, some site work, some parking work. And so it's a very large facility. And to me, it's a very exciting project because they've been there a while. They want to stay there. They're enlarging. They have a need to enlarge. And they're basically kind of in an industrial area. So we've got a furniture outlet store across the street. And on the other side of that hedge is the auto auction site, which is very large if you're familiar with that area. Let me go back up to this overall aerial. So when you look at that area and you see the yellow where this side is, everything to the east and everything to the south that's in that lighter gray, that's the auto auction. That is not in the Scenic River District. That was a pre-existing PUD. But that is a use that if somebody came in now and wanted to do that in the River District, you can't. It's not allowed. So, but with that being said, you saw in the staff report the extensive list of stuff that they're doing. And then I also clarified that signs are shown on the renderings, but they don't have that all worked out yet, so they're going to have to come back later for the signs and any lighting that they end up needing would be included on a revision to that. So staff had no issues with this. This was the only thing on your agenda, or it would have been under consent. But the applicant is here and for questions. Do you have any questions of me?
I have a question for staff. I see that part of the scope of work that we're approving is installing these metal crosses. Do they qualify as signage, or in the drawing I saw that it was pointed out as a sculpture? That would go to a different committee, correct?
They called it a sculpture. And I'm trying not to misspeak. I did not look on it as a sign. I actually didn't really look on it as a sculpture. It was an object. It was a detail that was added on the corner. They currently have that same configuration out near the road that's been there for a while, and this is just a duplication of that. So unless I looked at it incorrectly, I didn't think that it was a sculpture that needed to go to the Arts Commission, and I didn't look on it as a sign at all. There's no words on it or anything like that, but
I couldn't find a definition of signage, and whether or not text needed to be on it. But I did see that there was a height limitation if it was a standalone sign. And so I just wanted clarification.
yeah, that staff didn't look on it as such. We're still getting used to if we looked on it as a sign, we can't look at content, and that's something that we're still getting used to, but I didn't feel that this fell under sculpture or signage.
Okay.
To me, it was just an architectural detail for the building.
And we can certainly confer with Arts Commission staff and with Plan Review and see if there's anything else that they evaluate when they look at something like a cross at a religious facility, and report back to you guys if there's anything that we've missed with that.
Okay, I would appreciate that. I recall in the past there being some discussions about crosses or just large non-lettered objects as qualifying as signs, and so that's the only reason I bring it up. The only other question I have is with regard to the fencing. Boy, it took me a long time to find it on the drawings, but are we assuming, because it's not quite clear, that it's decorative metal?
There, if I'm not mistaken, we talked about that, didn't we? And hang on just one second. We had talked about that. It is going to be decorative metal. We could insert decorative metal in front of the fencing, if that gives you more of.
Oh, it was
Feeling
just a
comfort.
question. There was a
Yeah.
list of appropriate or approved fencing
Material,
materials, and it wasn't, I mean, although the height, it says 6 feet, which is what it's limited to per the guidelines.
Right.
It wasn't clear to me whether it was decorative metal or chain link, because all it says is steel.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
So that was why I bring that up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other additional questions from the committee for staff? Hearing none, I would invite the applicant if you'd like to speak.
Yep. My name is Luke Denai. I'm with the construction department, or construction company that's working with the church here. We did the design and are slated to do the construction on the project. Address?
800 South Portland
I'm with
is
800,
is
yeah.
the church address that you can use.
I'm mainly here to answer any questions that you may have for it. I think there's a lot of information in the packet already, but if there's any questions I can answer for you, I'm happy to.
Was there anything that you felt we should know that was omitted from Laura's
No, it's
explanation?
pretty comprehensive. I think the specifically the renderings that are in there, I think kind of paint the picture of what they're wanting. The property really doesn't have any landscaping to speak of. That's something they've been wanting to do for a long time, and this kind of solves that issue. And really gives it a good visual appearance from both Portland Avenue and from the highway.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee for the applicant? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion on this item.
We'll try this again, just to see. So after you verbalize your motion, if you could hit the button. Everybody else wait. And the second, verbalize the motion, hit the button, and then wait for the screen to come up.
I have a question for staff. So Katie mentioned getting clarification on whether or not the cross needs to go somewhere else for approval. So do we need to indicate that on the motion?
I don't think that needs to be a condition of the motion. We'll verify that, and just like if something went to, if an item's approved here and then at the plan review building permit stage, they catch something that we missed, we deal with that either administratively or we bring it back to you all. So I don't think it needs to be captured in your motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the clarification there. Montoya, I have a motion to approve the application on the basis that the project complies with the regulations and guidelines of the Scenic River Overlay Design District zoning ordinance as referenced in Section C of the staff report.
Barbara Larson, I second.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
Will that
motion-
allow you two to push the buttons this time?
It still says waiting. Oh.
Here we go. Oh, I think we got it. Nice.
Hopefully your voting screen comes up.
It has?
Do we do it again?
Yes.
The motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7, other business, there is none. Agenda item number 8, communications. 8A, the administrative approval report. Laura, anything worth noting?
Continued work in Farmers Market. They're renovating those buildings. If you haven't been down there, you ought to go down there because there's several places where you can get food. The Loaded Bowl is one of my favorites if you haven't been there. And then the Latino Community Development Agency parking lot, that's going to be great when they get it done, and sidewalk out along the roadway. So that'll be an asset because it's just across the street from the park that they're working on. So not that the other two aren't things to comment on, but they're not as glamorous, I would say, as those two projects.
Thank you. Item 8B, comments from planning department staff.
We have a meeting next month.
Yay.
So please check your calendar, and in the next week or two, you'll get a quorum call. We do have one vacancy now, Brian, who had been on, then was off, and then was back on, and he was one of the 2 designees from the Riverfront Redevelopment Authority, and he resigned from the authority last week, which meant he immediately was off our committee. So at this point, we'll be waiting for a new member that will be coming from the authority. Erica is the second one from the authority. So hopefully at your meeting next month, we might have a new face.
Great. Item 8C, any comments from committee members? Glad to see you all, as always. Item 8D, next meeting date. The next regular committee meeting is Thursday, June 2nd, 2022. New applications were to be submitted to staff by 4 p.m. Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. Revisions and information on continued projects are to be submitted by May 10th, 2022. And with that, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you very much.